Welcome back in, everybody, to Pro Football Plus. The privilege to have all of you on board with us tonight. Week 1 of the NFL is in the books. I loved every bit of it. There was almost no part of it that I didn't enjoy watching. And we are back with our panel again tonight. Austin Freed, Shane Ratliff, Yusef Marshall. I was going to say this for our final 60, but I do want the audience to know Yusef, this will be his final time with us on this show for any of the foreseeable future. So I want all of you listening and watching to eat it up and enjoy it. Yusef, any final words before we do our show tonight, man?
That would be my 60, but now I ain't going to do it now.
But I blew it, yeah.
Man, the entertaining podcast I've been on since I started doing this 4 years ago. This is great. This has been a blessing, man. So I appreciate you opening the door to me, man. Let me meet all these awesome people who I'm gonna use like I can't use them no more.
Yes.
Great friendships being formed, and I appreciate this, and you are a big part of why that happened. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great having you over the summer, and it's been very entertaining, and it's been good for our show. And then look forward to hopefully me jumping on your show over the next few weeks, and we'll do some mix and matching. And so feel free to check out Yusef's stuff. Yeah. All right, first topic of the night. Let's get right to it. Lead story. Shane, you're batting lead off tonight. What's your lead story from this NFL weekend?
My lead story is young quarterbacks. I thought that if you told me it was going to play out the way it did for some of the young quarterbacks, I would have been surprised. If you take the Chicago Bears and you thought that your offense was going to be as terrible as it was and you were still going to come away with a victory for Caleb Williams in his first game, you'd be happy. I think Jaden Daniels played up to potential, but I also think, it is a tough league. You can see how quickly the NFL can turn around. You took, helpful for the team that I follow and support, but Cincinnati went into a game thinking you were going to have some weapons, and then Joe Burrow has nobody. Contract disputes, some other things going on, and it helped the Patriots. They slowed the ball down, played good defense and come across, but I think the young quarterbacks, not only rookies, but also second-year quarterbacks, some big things happening in the NFL to start the season.
All right. I love it. Yeah. Lots of you. We're going to see those young quarterbacks all year long, unless one of them gets injured. Maybe more of it than we even saw this past weekend. Yusef, you're up second, man. What's the lead story?
All right. You guys might not find it to be a big story, but for me, I'm sitting here like I'm questioning everything I knew about the NFL because of this story. Might not be the biggest, but for me, it's a game changer. I'm never going to trust salary cap news again in my life because of what I saw this weekend. I don't care what they say. Oh, we're millionaires and billionaires crying broke. I'm never going to fall for it ever again. Dak Prescott got his $60 million. Don't know how it even happened. I thought that guy was broke. I thought they had money problems. You got CD Lamb, which was the right move to get him first. You took care of that. Got him at around, $32 million a year. Okay, that's not top of the scale, but it was good enough for him, I guess, and he was good with it for 4 years. But I didn't think that the $60 million deal was going to happen with Dak. I didn't see it coming at all. I thought somebody was going to have to come in and catch him next year in 2025. They gave him $60 million for 4 years. I can't believe it. So what's going to happen to Micah? I'm sitting here like, what's going to happen? If they sign Micah, then I really know for sure it's cemented that they are a bunch of liars, and I'm never going to believe them ever again about them crying broke. This was a travesty, a joke, and the Cowboys are back, right? Nope, because the same guy they had last year, and they couldn't win jack. So same thing this year. They just be more expensive now.
I like it. I can't wait till next offseason when Micah does get paid. And, you have 3 players making up 45% of the Cowboys salary cap next season. I'm here for that, man. So, Austin, your first big story of the weekend.
So my big thing I noticed was I said, man, it feels like passing offense is down. I can feel our offense in general, honestly. And what this all goes back to, my belief, is the preseason not being taken as seriously in the last couple of years as it was in the past. And I think offenses are, starting out of the gate a little bit slow in recent years. So I went back 3 years. I didn't want to go too far back in the well, but I looked at 2022, 2023, and 2024. And here's a comparison of some passing numbers in the first week of the NFL season in those 3 years. So in 2022, there were 37 passing touchdowns thrown. In 2023, 10 less, 27. And then this year in 2024, only 23 passing touchdowns thrown. And then if you look at a yards number, this is only the top 16 teams, the top half of the league. We're going to take out the bottom, the bad outliers, and just look at the top 16 teams.
There were some bad outliers.
Exactly. In 2022, 4,510 total yards in the top 16 teams. Almost 500 yards lost between 2022 and 2023, 4,065. And then it was a loss of nearly 700 yards, 3,330. So we jumped from 4,500 to 3,300 in 2 years of and that's just the top 16 teams. That's not counting the bottom 16 guys who did horrible this year. And then just looking at teams who threw for over 200 passing yards, there were 19 of them who threw for over 200 passing yards in 2022, 14 in 2023, and less than 10 did it. 9 teams threw for more than 200 passing yards this year. It is tough. It's tough coming out of the slate when you don't have that preseason. You don't take it seriously.
That's a great point. Austin's our stats guy. He goes way deep on the Excel stuff and boy, the deep data dives. So I had noticed that too, because a segment we're coming up with later had a lot of candidates because of the poor passing. But yeah, a lot of quarterbacks this week, even the winning quarterbacks, didn't put out a lot of yardage. And then there were, like I said, there were some really, really ugly outliers at the bottom of that as well. All right. Listen, my big story of the week had to be the Dallas Cowboys winning. All right. And everything Yusef said is correct. But all three of y'all picked the Cowboys to actually win that game or at least cover. Most of y'all picked them to win too. And I picked the Browns. And listen, the Browns just didn't show up, man. I mean, Deshaun Watson looked terrible. The Browns were missing, I think, both of their starting tackles. And, of course, that's a bad matchup when you got Micah Parsons and company sitting there ready. But Dallas just did everything right. Dallas really didn't even have to try that hard in the second half. I mean, they cruised through that second half. Had they wanted to, had they needed to, they could have amped up in the second half. They just really never needed to do that. Hats off to the Cowboys. It's a big win because Cleveland still got a lot of tough players on both offense and defense. So for Dallas to go in there on the road without even too much of a running game, they weren't necessarily just running the football down Cleveland's throat at all. For Dallas to go in there, get a win on opening week, that really sets the tone for them moving on into the next few weeks, in which a lot of people are picking them to either finish second with the Eagles in the division or maybe even miss the playoffs altogether, depending on who you want to believe. So big win in Big D in Cleveland for the Cowboys. We're actually going to do 2 lead stories this week. We may do that on most weeks. Shane, what's your second big one?
My second lead story really fills right off of what Austin said. So, I mean, he came with the touchdown numbers, especially passing offenses. But when you watched all around sloppy play and a high amount of illegal formation penalties, a lot of starters spent a lot of time on the sideline during the preseason this year. I think it's only going to get worse unless this starts to change. One of the teams that didn't do that, that's Jim Harbaugh. He let his guys play. A rookie tackle went undefeated against Max Crosby. Joe Alt showed why you make that selection. And he turned that team around and played the way he wanted to. I don't think that would have gone as well if he didn't have the opportunity to get some of those guys in for real time. He's one of those guys that loves reps. He wants his guys to love practice and love football. And I think that first victory for him is the blueprint that the Chargers will go forward with.
That's a great point you guys are making about the offseason and how that may fuel into week 1 and maybe weeks 2 and 3, depending on the team, what they did with their players and the experience level they've got. So great point there. I am fascinated by that. Yusef, your second lead story, man.
Right. Again, this one is not going to be the one that's going to break the bank and make everybody's jaw drop. But for me, it's just a kind of a big deal. It's kind of under the radar. Cincinnati going cheap with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Now they're going to be paying full price in more ways than one. The offense struggled. They got beat up on by the Patriots, a team that we thought would be in the bottom 5 for sure. Chase had 6 targets for 62 yards. Higgins is out with a very timely hamstring injury. Not even sure if it's even real, but it just happened at such a weird opportunity. So they went ahead and drafted Jermaine Burton, thinking he would come in and be the guy to replace Higgins because they didn't want to pay him. Now he's in the doghouse, probably going to be redshirt in this whole season. Everybody had them deep in the playoffs, me included. They probably all hedging right now, saying this going to be in the story of the year because it could be the worst fall we ever seen since the last time the Bengals did this in the Mike Brown era. They were a 9-7 Super Bowl visiting team. They didn't win it, but they were in the Super Bowl with Boomer Esiason, dropped to 3-13 after an 0-5 start. They look like they get ready to try to break that record. I don't know why you want to try to break a record like that, but they seem to be in line to do that right now. This is inexplicable. I mean, we know Joe Burrow has some issues and stuff, but this just looks bad. And for a team that's supposed to be a contender for the Chiefs, a team that probably plays them better than any other AFC team, they don't look good right now. Don't look like contenders whatsoever. So this is going to be a team to watch. This could be the biggest fall that we've seen in quite a while. So.
Brutal first week for Cincinnati. And unless they get those receivers in the house, I don't know, the second week's going to be too much better. We'll find out. Austin.
So we were robbed on Sunday night of what we picked on our Saturday night show to be the game of the week. This Detroit Lions versus the Los Angeles Rams game was supposed to be one of the best games, or the best game of the week, and one of the best games of the first half of the season probably. And guess what? It kind of was. It went to overtime. It was a nail biter. But we get to overtime. The Lions march down, score a touchdown, and guess what? That's game over. Why do we still have this horrible overtime rule? I cannot get my head around the Players Association wanting this. Why does the commissioner want it? Why do the owners want it? Like, tell me who in a head office or in an NFL room is keeping this rule on the table. I can't imagine any party in favor of this. So it baffles me and it confuses me and it frustrates me because I really wanted to see Matt Stafford get a shot to go tie it up and keep the game going, because I was not ready for football to be over on Sunday. It was my first Sunday of football in months, and I was so ready and I was having such a good time, and I was robbed.
Yeah. Great point. It was a fascinating game. It really was, but we could have had even more. Yeah. I would have loved to see Stafford get that chance too. So next offseason, we'll see. Find out. But yeah, you're right. We were robbed. My last big story for the night for this segment is Aaron Rodgers. So let me get the negativity out of the way first here. Aaron Rodgers struggled against that 49ers defense. There's no doubt about it. They couldn't establish a running game to save their life. And as soon as the 49ers figured out that Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to Garrett Wilson, they pretty much shut that down too. All right. But having said all of that, it was great to see Aaron Rodgers out there on the field again and see him doing pretty well. I've never really rooted for Aaron Rodgers, but coming off of last year's injury and knowing how the Jets fans feel about their long-suffering franchise, it made me feel good to watch Aaron Rodgers back out there. He looked mobile, which was important. And while we didn't see him throw a lot of deep balls, I still saw a lot of crispness in that arm. The arm looked sharp. In fact, he made 2 throws that you won't see hardly any other quarterback in the league make. I mean, Mahomes and Allen would struggle to make 2 of these throws. There was one kind of not even a back shoulder throw to Lazard where I mean, it was just beautiful. Perfect pass where Aaron Rodgers puts it past the defender before Lazard is even past the defender. Just, I mean, you would have to be an octopus with eyes in the back of your head to defend that pass. And it was beautiful. And then the other Aaron Rodgers play that was beautiful was when they got the free play. It was almost like a machine. It was like click, click, click. The 49ers are offsides, and Aaron Rodgers sees the offsides, and he thinks free play, and he looks on his vertical seam route, and he just throws it, and it's a touchdown. I mean, there aren't many quarterbacks in the league who are so automatic like that. So it was really good to see, in spite of the fact that it was obvious he didn't have command of the offense yet, like he may have back in his years in Green Bay, but still mobility check, crisp throws check, and one of them being deep check. So it was good to see all of that, especially if you're a Jets fan. for Aaron Rodgers. We're going to switch to a slightly different topic this week. Those are the big kind of the headliners. But who needs more attention? Who was kind of quiet, maybe didn't get a primetime game or primetime matchup, and just didn't get enough attention this week on the national scene? We're going to give it to them right here, right now. Shane, take it away.
I think for me, and he did get some press because of what he was able to do, but I think we saw that the Bills are a team that is solely built around Josh Allen. Without him, that team had no offense to speak of. When your quarterback has to take off and do what he had to do in that game, I think it shows that they let too much skill go away. We talked about it in the preseason. When do you make your move and get some wide receivers? What do you do with some backs? I mean, they have some great tight ends, but when that's the only thing that you're hoping and praying for offensively, you put your quarterback out there. And the problems that Allen's has had is throwing interceptions at big moments and taking an awful lot of hits. And I don't see the hits decreasing with the way that offense showed this week.
Yeah, it's a great point. That whole division, the Bills, Dolphins, Jets, that's going to be fascinating all year. Even if one team drops out, that's going to be a fascinating race to see who can actually pull it out right there. Youssef, who needs more attention this week, and who are you giving it to?
Who needs more attention? I'm going to stay in Buffalo, but I'm not thinking about Josh Allen, though. Talking about James Cook. Last year, he was a 1,200-yard rusher. I mean, a clear, heavy workhorse, man. There was no doubt about it. Top 10 back last year that nobody talked about. A mid-round draft pick in most fantasy leagues behind Travis Etienne. Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's not getting the respect at all that he should be getting. No big TD numbers last year, mainly because of Josh Allen. Last year, Josh Allen had 15 touchdowns to Cook's 2. I'm like, he just vulturing all of the touchdowns and killing fantasy owners worldwide who got James Cook in their lineup. But he has value, man, because he's a workhorse, man. He's a big yardage guy, and the Bills could use that and save their quarterback. But for some reason, Josh Allen gets the touchdowns and he does the majority. He's probably the leading rusher most of the time, which is very weird because James Cook is more than capable of doing that. But I don't know if it's the schematics or what, but he doesn't seem to allow him to capitalize on what he does best, which is kind of a shame. So I think he deserves more attention than what he's been getting.
Good point. What's great for fantasy for Josh Allen, for people who have Josh Allen, isn't necessarily great for winning football games and perhaps competing for Super Bowls. So we'll see if they can tone that down. People have been talking about that for a couple seasons. Austin.
So, yeah, I'm a Vikings fan, and getting to watch the game, I successfully reverse jinxed us this week by going all against the Vikings, picking the Giants to win every single time, because I had to do the reverse jinx with how bad my college season had been going. So it worked. A lot of people would expect me to come here and talk about Sam Darnold, but I actually want to talk about Kevin O'Connell, who's the head coach. He does such a good job. I knew with a lot of confidence that he would be able to get this offense to look good with Sam Darnold, with Aaron Jones as our running back 1, with a banged up Jordan Addison as wide receiver 2. I think Sam Darnold started out on an insane run of completions to start the game. He finished the game 19 of 24 passing with 2 touchdowns. And then Aaron Jones on the ground, only 14 attempts, but still got 94 yards on the ground, including a touchdown. And it wasn't like he got all those in one chunk with a big 60-yard run. His long was only 19 yards. So take out the long run, his longest of the day, and it's still a good showing from him. So Kevin O'Connell is an offensive mastermind. He knows how to get an offense on the field. I think he has a good shot of winning Offensive Coach of the Year.
Listen,
for his offense.
Credit to you, full credit for reverse jinxing your team, because you were having a horrible football season start. So full credit to that. And also, I forget who it was. You did an exorcism this week on some other team or player that was successful as well.
I did perform an exorcism of Saquon Barkley. Yes, that's on the books.
Yes, it was you. Yes. You were the reason that Barkley got the 3 touchdowns also.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. I'm here for it. Totally, completely. My person who needs more attention, we're going to go to the Colts-Texans game, where Anthony Richardson is impressing people with some of his arm strength and his running ability. and where CJ Stroud is impressing people again. But that's not who needs more attention. Who needs more attention is Joe Mixon, the running back for the Houston Texans, who came in with 30 carries, 159 yards, and 1 touchdown, had a heck of a day. And that is so important. I tried to tell the Bengals during the offseason to keep Joe Mixon. They didn't do it. And then I told Dallas, you need to make a hard run at Joe Mixon. And they didn't do it. All right. So here he is going to Houston. Perfect atmosphere for him. He's just setting the table for everything and everybody. And that only makes it easier for a quarterback with a good arm who's got plenty of receivers to throw to, a decent offensive line, and a good defense, and a head coach who's on fire. I mean, what does Houston miss right now other than just seasoning and getting those big game experiences? So hats off to Joe Mixon. Big time performance there in Houston. We're switching now. Give me 1 second as I fool around with my computer for a little bit here. We're switching to one of my favorite topics of the evening, and this is going to be the struggle bus. So here it comes, everybody. Here's the struggle bus. And you already see I got one logo on there. It's the Carolina Panthers. They're going to be driving the struggle bus for a while, I think. I'm going to start off with my struggle bus driver. Y'all can add some passengers. Maybe we'll do some logos later. It can be a unit. It can be a player. It can be a whole team. In this case, it was a whole darn team because Carolina Panthers struggled right from the start all the way through. They struggled during halftime. I mean, it was miserable. Bryce Young looked awful, throwing a pick on his very first pass attempt. He missed open receivers all day. And I don't mean just that he did not see them. I mean, he saw them and didn't throw the ball in the right spot. I mean, just flat out threw the ball off. But the offensive line couldn't get a running game going. They couldn't stop the Saints running game. They couldn't stop the Saints passing game. Everything that the Saints did worked, and nothing that the Panthers did worked. They had open receivers floating around in the secondary. They had busted coverages. I mean, nothing. And I think the result was 47-10. So the Carolina Panthers this week are driving the struggle bus, and they will remain the drivers until they actually do something worth doing, less something else. All right. So Carolina Panthers driving the struggle bus. Shane, what passenger you want to put on here today, man?
I think the Panthers can sponsor the struggle bus for a good while here, not just drive it. But I thought of two possibilities here. I will go with the nicer of what I could say on this case for me. Kirk Cousins, struggle bus. I don't think he's healthy. We talked about this before. You mentioned Aaron Rodgers coming back from the Achilles and looking like he still had mobility. Kirk Cousins did not look mobile. He did not look comfortable. Now all the time where you're asking, why did Atlanta make this move to pick Michael Penix Jr.? I think he's going to get a run faster than a lot of people expected. Atlanta was kind of a trendy pick where they might be able to come back. I think that he really crashed and burned on the first game, and there might be a quick leash for games to come.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Stay tuned, but watch out for the Saints and the Buccaneers in that division. All of a sudden, some people were already picking the Buccaneers even before this. So stay tuned. Yusef, who's on that struggle bus, man?
I can't pick the Panthers again. They've been mentioned like 4 times already. So
they're bad enough. You can if you want to.
that Seabiscuit's been dead for a while, so there's no sense in beating him again. But I'll go with, in this case, I'm gonna go with something. I'm shocked by this a little bit because I thought that this team would have the opportunity to do better. But I'm going with the Browns, the entire offense take it to the defense as well. So the whole team, everybody get on the back of that bus. It's supposed to be a make or break season for Deshaun Watson. So far, he looks like he is thoroughly broken, like Seabiscuit. The Browns offense struggled to move the ball. Mostly he couldn't throw downfield after a break of about 2.5 years. He still can't throw down the field. Something is definitely, this is not football shape. Something is wrong otherwise because he can't throw 10, 15-yard passes. Something is weird. He completed like 53% of his passes, I think, with 2 interceptions. I mean, it was just bad. And the Cowboys' pass was just all over him. They were in the backfield all day long. And I think Watson got sacked like 6 times. So you can expect him to turn things around, but it just doesn't look good. We're talking about we're in the third year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the fourth year, but definitely the third year for sure of this kind of inability to just do quarterback stuff. So this is pretty scary. I don't know who the backup is. I think Winston moved on, I think, but I don't know what they got behind him. But maybe time to start looking because this is an experiment in futility right now. So they're on a struggle bus for real. The defense supposed to be elite. I didn't see it week one. I don't know why. That team was the same team from last year that was number one most of the year, or at least top three. Same guys. What happened? So I don't understand. Maybe Cowboys look so great, and it shouldn't be that great, but they may look like world beaters, like Super Bowl contenders. I'm like, really? Thanks for doing that. Thanks for helping the narrative. Appreciate you so much.
Look, if you were going to take one NFL player and convince me that an alien abduction had happened, it would be Deshaun Watson, because that's not the guy that we saw in Houston. The guy we saw in Houston looked like he was tracking for top 3 quarterback in the league, MVP awards, Super Bowl appearances. I don't know who this guy is on the field. I mean, that ain't Deshaun Watson anymore. That's some shell of Deshaun Watson, but Moving on, we need one more passenger on the struggle bus, or maybe a whole team. Austin gets to decide. Where are we going, Austin?
Well, we're gonna go with just 11 instead of bringing all 22 on the bus here, because I do want to give the Bengals offense a 1 week pass from keeping them off the bus, but that defense, specifically the run defense, is horrible. They do have the guys that can get after the passer and rush the quarterback, but I don't know if they're going to be able to stop any running game. And I don't want to discount Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots because he is a very solid running back. He's, not a top end guy of the league, but the Patriots offensive line is not very strong, and Ramondre Stevenson is just a slightly above average runner, not a world beater. But you wouldn't know that looking at the stat box because Ramondre Stevenson had 25 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. So he sure looked good against this Bengals defense. And, besides their, star linebacker, Logan Wilson, I just don't trust anybody to get downhill and make a tackle when it has to be done.
No, for all the struggles that some of the quarterbacks had this week, there were some running backs that turned in some performances this week. So it was fun to see that. And the NFL is open to it right now because you have so many lighter defenses for teams willing to commit to the run and actually build a little bit of a running game. It's sitting there. That's the struggle bus this week. We will bring it back next week because that was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys. Time to pick a couple of games. Youssef had the best week last week. He's sitting at, I think, 140 points. I basically started us off with 100 to work with. So he added 40 to it. He's sitting at 140 points overall. I believe Shane is sitting at 120 right now. I'm sitting at 100. Austin's sitting at 80. So that's where it sits right now. And we're going to keep trucking on forward through here. And basically, we'll just do 10 points a matchup. We're going to start with this matchup. We'll get to Shane's beloved Patriots here in a second. The Saints and the Cowboys, both teams 1-0. It's going to be on Fox. Cowboys 6.5-point favorite right now. Shane, who you picking?
Cowboys on this one. I think the Saints were an anomaly offensively with what we've kind of already talked about. When you play Carolina and they can't perform offensively or defensively, it shows for a better thing than what really was presented in football. I think the Cowboys, if they keep on the same path that they did in the first game, I think this is an easy going away victory for them. And there's nothing on the Saints really that puts any fear in the Cowboys defense.
All right. We heard it there
I
first.
should mention as well, Zimmer coming back as the defensive coordinator. Dallas might have gotten better by allowing Dan Quinn to become a head coach.
First Zimmer take I've heard. I like it. All right. Youssef, who you picking?
Are you saying they're going to the Super Bowl?
No.
I just want to do the cosign. But yeah, the Saints kind of routed the Panthers last week. It was an abomination in the NFL, in the annals of history. But even with all of that being said, the Cowboys are going to roll all over these boys. If you believe this is the Derek Carter future, I ain't buying it. Cowboys are going to dominate these boys. Carr threw for 20 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Panthers. Now, they had like 47-10, something like that. But look at those numbers, though. Does it make you excited? He threw for 200 yards. Quarterbacks do that in the first half. So I'm not falling for this trick. Will not pick the Saints. It's gonna be the Cowboys. Probably gonna go over that 6.5, probably pretty easily. And their defense creates turnovers too. So this could be a rout potentially.
Austin, so far we've got the Cowboys destroying the Saints. Do you agree?
I think destroying is not how I would put it. I feel comfortable saying that the Cowboys are going to win this game, and they're not going to feel too much resistance, I don't think, from the Saints. I've got the Cowboys covering this line, but I do think the Saints could potentially be better than a lot of people were giving them credit for before the season.
Fair enough. I'm going to pick the Saints to cover the line. I'm picking Dallas to win because Dallas is better and Dallas is at home. But I already had the Saints pegged for about a 7-win season anyway. That win last week versus the Panthers was all about the Carolina being bad. I mean, really, really, really bad. All right. That's what that was about. The one thing I did like that I didn't expect out of the Saints is Clint Kubiak looked like he at least had the Saints offense having a direction, which they haven't had the past couple of seasons. Again, that was against Carolina. It's almost meaningless, but they at least look like they knew what they wanted to do. Whether or not they can do that against any other defense in the NFL is why we're going to play all these games the next few weeks. I will pick the Saints to cover the 6.5. At a glance, it just felt a little big to me as well. All right. The moment we've all been waiting for, the reason we've all gathered here tonight is Shane's beloved Patriots have started off the Mayo era at 1-0 and had a big win. And they're going to play at home against Seattle, another 1-0 team. There, by the way, for those of you who don't keep up with the NFL math, Week 2 features a ton of 0-1 teams playing 0-1 teams, in which somebody's going to come out 0-2, several somebodies, which is rough. Also, quite a handful of 1-0 teams playing on each other, in which case, kind of bracketology, several teams going to come out 2-0, some of whom didn't really expect to be there. This is one of those matchups. Seattle's a 3.5-point favorite on the road against the Patriots. Shane, you're up.
On this one, if it wasn't a home game, I would think that Seattle has this one. But I think the Patriots are going to go run heavy again. Seattle traveling a good distance, having to come up with some offense that I think is going to be hard for them because Seattle also ran the ball very well. But if you get in a battle where you're back and forth, you want some quick offense, I think the Patriots are going to run, and blitz to try to get as many turnovers as possible. So I think it will be close. I think it's going to be within 7, but I think the 3.5 is going to be a little bit too much to hold on to.
All right. So you like Seattle to cover the 3.5?
I think Seattle will cover 3.5. I think the Patriots probably come away with a victory, though.
Fair enough. Yourself, you're our points leader, man. What's your feel on this?
It's a tough one. Not because of last week, just overall because the Seahawks, they don't look great. This is a battle of the rookie head coaches, Gerard Mayo and Mike McDonald. I'm not quite sure who is going to come out on top with this one. What the Pats did defensively to kind of stifle the Bengals offense, it was impressive in that they could do that against a team they probably should not have, but they didn't have all of their complement of weapons. And it seemed like Joe Burrow was struggling with something. I don't know if it was his wrist or hand again. Not quite sure what's going on with that one. But I am going to say in this one that the Seahawks are going to win this. I am not comfortable enough to say it's going to be by a wide margin. I think it'll be one of those dog fights, low-scoring game, probably a lot of big ground game from both sides. I could see Charbonnet and Stevenson duking it out on the ground. That's kind of what I envision. So I'm going to go Seattle here, but I don't see this being a wide margin, but Seattle should get the victory here.
I like it. Austin, where are you feeling on this game?
I did want to double back real quick to Shane because you said you have the Patriots winning.
Yes.
So wouldn't you? I just want to make sure we
Okay,
have
got
this
it.
pick right. Wouldn't that be?
Got it.
Yep.
Yep.
I had the Patriots winning. I think it will be with the victory, but I think Seattle's going to be within 7 points. That's what I said.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Austin.
Yeah. So this one is one I've kind of wiggled back and forth on. I really like the 3.5 line. I think Vegas is cooking with that one. Ultimately, I do think that Ken Walker is the difference maker here. He looked very explosive to me in week one. Again, against a Broncos defense that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me, especially not their run defense, much like the Bengals. So it kind of comes down to talent. Do I think the Patriots team, because they both played pretty poor teams last week and both came away with wins. Uh, just talent wise, when I look at the rosters, Seattle, I think is a little bit deeper and has a running back that I trust slightly more than Ramondre Stevenson. So I think Seattle's going to take this one, and I'll have them cover as well.
Fair enough. Austin, you said it perfect. That 3.5 point line is what made it so difficult. Because I do like Seattle to win, but boy, do they cover or not was where I was sitting at. It feels like one of y'all said it too. It feels like a tight, low scoring kind of game. It feels like a lot of run the football. It feels like a lot of conservative, but I've got Seattle winning a tight one, probably by a field goal. So I'll pick the Patriots to actually cover while I'm picking Seattle to win. Let's do our final 60 of the night. Shane, take it away.
My final 60 is big time college football paying for little sister to come beat you on your home field. Notre Dame took the heat. It normally happens in the early year where you pay a couple $1 million for the team you expect to beat for your homecoming, and they come in and embarrass you on national television. And Marcus Freeman thought that he had the start to a great season. It's continued to be an issue for him where they drop an early season game to a team that they should have handily beat. Hats off to Northern Illinois, though. In years past, they had a pretty solid run where they would come back and bite teams like this. And they did exactly what they wanted to do. They controlled the ball, they took the chances when they needed to, and beat Notre Dame. So my 60 goes to the little underdogs in college football that come away with big victories.
I like it. I watched a lot of college football this weekend too, man. I got double dose. I got to eat twice. Yusef, I'm gonna save you for last. Austin, what's your final 60?
Um, my final 60 isn't this, but a quick shout out. My high school football teammate and a pretty good friend of mine is actually a assistant coach for Northern Illinois. So shout out Ty
Nice.
for that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, my final 60 is going to be our box score YouTube channel. We just created it and we posted our first video on there last week. It is Saturday nights picking every single NFL game for Sunday and then the Monday Night Football game. And then we're also going to be doing that show live on Instagram, I believe. So come check us out at Box Score Network on Instagram. And I believe it's at Box Score Network as well on YouTube.
I love it. I've got two final 60s. One's a repeat of what I opened the show with. I'll get to that in a second. Shout out to Fox, and maybe other stations have been doing this, and I just wasn't paying attention. But Fox on Sunday, I noticed as I was watching the Panthers Saints game, for the introductions, not only were they showing the players who were going to be starting the game, but they also posted the defensive coordinator when they put on the defense. They posted the offensive coordinator when they showed the offense, or they posted in some cases the actual play caller if it was the coach instead of the coordinator. So I really love getting to see that. Some of these guys deserve a whole heck of a lot more attention than they're getting. And for those of us who don't always say follow all the coordinators, it's just nice to know who's calling the plays or who's running the defense and all of that. So shout out to Fox for that little add-on there for our coverage. I really, really, really like that. Back to my final 60, Yusef. This will be his final show. Yusef have really enjoyed it. So, Yusef, if you got a final 60, give it to us. If not, just tell everybody where they can find you moving forward.
Well, first, I want to say thank you again for the privilege to be on one of the most entertaining podcasts I've done in 4 years. And I mean that without any hyperbole. I've been having fun on this one. It's not contrived and forced. It's authentic as it comes. And it's a testament to you guys. So thank you for inviting me into your family. If you dump me, you're dead to me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but I'm excited about what's been going on and where you guys are headed. You guys got a great show and you do things individually as well. You guys got a future in this, man. So I'm excited to be here. And as far as social media goes, I'm going to still be out there. I'll probably doing a lot more audio podcasts, and that's kind of where I kind of got my feet wet. So I'm kind of going to go back to that a little bit, kind of back to the basics a little bit, less YouTube and a lot more of the audio podcast. It's just where my heart's at. So I'll be doing social media, but a lot less of it probably. But you can find me on every social except Snapchat at They Call Me Mr. U, on TikTok, LinkedIn if you use it, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll still be at They Call Me Mr. U, also our YouTube channel as well. So you can find me. I'll still be around. If you got my number, you can still call me. You can still come on the show. I said you can still come on the show. Open invite. You don't have to ask me for just let me know I'm coming on. Okay, that's all you got to do. And then I put you to work. But love you guys. It's been great. I really appreciate it, man. It's been fun. Thank you.
We'll do it, man. Yeah, we're gonna miss you on here, but we will watch you in the future. I for those in the audience, I see Yusef the most on the X. He posts a lot of stuff on there. Sometimes it's polls, sometimes it's just an opinion he's got, sometimes it's part of the game he's watching, sometimes it's a little bit of life advice. I mean, it's a lot of different stuff.
Talking about Michigan Wolverines, just normal stuff, that kind of stuff.
Celebrating Notre Dame.
No, never that, sir.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for listening to be with us this week. Hope you enjoy your second week of NFL football and college as well. I think heading to week 3 if you do that as well. Have a great one, everybody. See you next time. Goodbye.